Hi guys, I'm James from Formula Recruitment. Today I thought it'd be useful to talk about tech tests and pairing sessions as a topic of discussion. I think recently, it's definitely something that we've seen be integrated more and more into permanent recruitment processes, and I think it's safe to say everybody has their opinion on them. So yeah, I was just quite keen to chat a little bit about some of the constraints that we've seen typically from candidates, but also from the client's perspective, actually what they look for, and kind of bring that back to the fundamental basic of what they seek in a good applicant and a good candidate. So I think ultimately, the elephant in the room is that there's a lot of candidates that find this as a lot of time to put in, especially if it's a take-home test. However, I think once you can get past that, and obviously with a bit of time management along the way, it's actually a really good opportunity to actually demonstrate to the company how you are the strongest candidate in the process, and produce a tangible piece of evidence that would actually support that. I think, based on that, there's a few things that I think would be really important to keep in mind when you go into these sessions. The first topic that's worth discussion is something that is easy to think about in an ideal world when it comes to preparation, but actually when you kind of in the heat of the moment and doing the session, it's quite easy to forget about. And actually that is how fundamentally you need to think from an interviewer's perspective about what they're looking to take from this session. And ultimately that actually is to see how you approach a task, how you structure it and communicate, and how you work. And it really is just a perfect opportunity for you to share that. So I think the one thing to keep in mind here is reminding yourself of what the interviewer's perspective is right now. And if that's with regards to a take-home test, for example, then that would actually be kind of using your README file, for example, to document and add in any notes or any thoughts that you had along the way that you wouldn't typically have the opportunity to put into your code, and use that as an opportunity to make it clear what you were thinking and why you chose certain things, and what you would do if you had more time, because actually that really demonstrates not only your thought processes, but your ability to see kind of either future problems in what you've created or future features that you would add, but stuff that you may not necessarily have had time to do yet. I think also, with particular languages in mind, in your first session, when you're talking about best practices or extreme programming or TDD or anything like that, this is now your opportunity where the interviewer is going to be seeing if it's all talk or if you can actually implement that into your test. So it's super important to actually keep that in mind and back it up with what you produce, because ultimately that is what the interviewers are looking for. On sort of away from the tech test side, but more into a pairing side of things, it's also, massively about communication. That's a really big part of what they're looking for. Ultimately, you want to be really personable and almost just think out loud, and just say everything you're thinking, communicate why you're doing things, how you're doing it, because they want to understand how you solve problems and how that would translate into a working environment. And that can be shared by just sharing everything you're thinking. Always be confident to ask clarifying questions and to understand the situation as best as you can, and that will enable you to not only take a really structured approach to the task, but actually kind of explain it in a logical sequence that not only makes sense in your head, but makes sense to the people that you're pairing with, or whoever's reviewing your code test at the time. Thanks for listening. I hope that was helpful. It would be really good to hear any of your thoughts in the comments, whether you've been a candidate and have found other techniques useful, or certain things actually detrimental to the process, or actually as an interviewer, what you really enjoy seeing and hearing from your candidates, and what sets them apart from the rest. For more information, please feel free to visit our website. That's formularecruitment.co.uk, and thanks again for listening.